Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Everyday Strong with Dr. Michael G. Daniels. This is your host, CB Baker. Well, we've got a good one this week, and it's the 4th of July weekend, so it's no better topic than what Dr. Daniels is going to bring to the table. So welcome to the show, Dr. Daniels.
Good day to everyone. And, one of the things that is striking to me in today, is, especially when you watch the news, if you watch CNN or Fox Network, there's a great divide as far as how this president has impacted people. One channel says that he's the greatest president we've ever had, and then of course, if you look at CNN, you get the flip side that right. He's not been that great for minorities. Well, this past week, I guess 2 weeks ago, actually, I happened to be talking to a gentleman that was from Canada, white male, probably I guess in his mid 60s, and he made the comment to me that Trump has been the greatest president for blacks that we've ever experienced. And so his comment was that black people ought to bow down to Trump. That's really what he said, that we ought to bow down to Trump.
Let me drink some water on that one.
Drink some water. You probably would need a shot of Hennessy. He said to bow down to Trump and thank him for all he has done. And his other comment was that President Obama did nothing for the minorities, and that he was probably one of the worst presidents for minorities that we've ever had. Obviously, he didn't understand presidents that were in office doing pre-civil rights, right. in those times, because it's really foolish to say that Obama was the worst right. when we've had presidents that kept us as slaves,
right.
but that's a whole other story. So, the thing that made him say that his point was that kind of like what Reagan's, economic theory was, that this trickle down theory, that if you improve businesses, that all blacks benefit. Mm-hmm. And my thought was, I know you're a business owner and you all, do pretty well. Actually, you all do very well as business owners. So I was just curious, is that, how do black business owners feel about their prosperity under Trump? And is that trickle down theory really applicable to minorities at all levels?
No, it's not. And the question I'm going to ask is, are you able to go into the bank and get a loan as equal as a white man getting a loan?
I would say not.
No.
And I would think it's worse now than it's ever been.
That's correct. So at the end of the day, unless you're running a cash business like a barbershop, or if you manage to get enough money to open a bar or something like that, mm-hmm. or you're doing lawn service, it's going to be hard to generate enough cash to be able to open up another business that, another bona fide business that you're able to take merchant, mm-hmm. money come through, the retail mm-hmm. money. So then you got to go to the bank to get a loan. And then all of a sudden, here they come with a business plan. They want all these different things they want that somebody else walking in the door, they may not ask for. Mm-hmm. Then you go through all these hoops for them to tell you no. So really, it's not better. Now, if you're already established, where it gets better at, Dr. Daniels, is it gets better if you already own the business, and then better in your taxes as the business tax. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it has not gotten any better.
So let's say, you're established business person, you own your own business, and say you're bringing in, gross receipts of $1 million, right. Let's say. How does that impact the $11 an hour worker? What has Trump done to make that $11 an hour worker's life better?
Nothing. If anything, he punished them. Because in the new tax law, he actually gave more benefits to the business owner versus the employee. Mm. So it's more advantageous to do a sole proprietorship or be a 1099, because the government now is taking automatic off top 20% of what you've earned. So if you made $100,000, they're only going to tax you on $80,000. Mm-hmm. So that's the new tax law now. So that's some of the things, Dr. Daniels, I think that the middle class blacks, middle class in general, need to get educated on how to manipulate the system. But you're only able to do that if you own a business.
So if you're the average employee, then you get no benefit.
Zero.
Actually, you get worse from what you're saying. Now, here's the thing that I just want to throw out there. I was shocked that this white gentleman, who happened to be Jewish, by the way, and I realize that some Jews don't consider themselves to be white, but I do. Okay. Here we are at a resort, and as the conversation is moving on, okay, and so he's talking about Trump and how wonderful he is, and how he's helping the economy, and how he is benefiting our quality of life because he's limiting the amount of immigrants coming over, right? And so Debbie, my wife, she says to him, well, you, from what you just told me, you're an immigrant. So why are you so upset that other people are coming and benefiting when you came and benefited?
Right.
He said, well, if you think that immigrants need to go home, then you all need to go back to Africa. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So a white female that was sitting beside us, she jumped up and she put his finger in his face and said, "You're the racist pig. You need to leave this resort." I mean, he didn't, but
Right.
So I guess my point is this. Let's say that, things are better economically. But what he said says to me this, that white people are now feeling much more comfortable speaking their minds to black people.
Right.
Whereas in the past, they would never do that.
Right.
You would never feel comfortable making a racist comment like that, especially in an environment where the people serving you are mostly black.
Right.
But yet he felt so comfortable to do that. So I'm just wondering, we're from different generations. I'm from a generation where we were red, black, and green, and so forth and so on.
Right.
What's your take on how, especially when you're dealing with people on a day-to-day basis, do you see any difference in the way that you're being treated now by those in the majority? Now that Trump is in office, do they feel more at liberty to say what's on their mind, or just, what's your take on that?
Well, my take on that is definitely it has changed. Growing up around predominantly white neighborhoods and things like that, I'm a suburban baby, so that's my livelihood. So now I'm caught in the middle of a precarious situation. If I go to places I used to feel comfortable at, I didn't feel any problem going to the honky tonk bar or going into somewhere where there's nothing but white people. But now when I walk in there, literally I get people looking. And I'm like, hey, I'm not thinking nothing of it, but now it's like it's getting more prevalent. Like just jogging in the neighborhood. Some cars get over and some cars act like they're about to hit you. So it's definitely changed a lot. For as with people being more vocal, I think social media has something to do with it as well. And I'm actually happy that some of that is taking place. And I'm going to tell you why. I'd rather you tell me to my face, how you really feel versus you subdue it. And then I'm thinking we're okay and we're cordial. And then going back to that loan situation, like if I sit down to get a loan and I can tell that you're a racist because you said something out of your mouth, ain't no need for me to go through this process no more.
Right.
To get up and walk out.
Right.
Now, some other civil rights black folks will get upset over that because it's my right to sit there. It's my right to get a loan, to put in the application, but it's also my right to do business somewhere else that they want me to do. They want to do business
where they
with
appreciate
me.
you. Yeah.
Right. So I think the difference between how Trump is saying he want to make America great again, and I think white people are taking that to say, okay, I can now speak my mind, but here's the issue. Black people have way more economical power now than we did in the 1950s and the 1960s. So if the people at the bank that you bank at with the church, if they was to come say something crazy to you, you'd be like, oh, really? Let me pull this some odd dollars out of here. and go to this other bank.
Right.
Hey, then I'm gonna bank over here, and then that person will get fired over there because the director's gonna be like, the branch manager, what happened? So we have the ability now to do that, and then also to educate ourselves and really reach people and educate people on how to handle situations with our dollars and not necessarily with rhetoric and things like that. Because you can sit and talk to a guy blue in the face. He's not going to stop being racist.
Well, true that. So let me make sure I got you on that. Because see, like I said, we're different generations. And I remember when I was a kid that your neighborhood was your world. The dentist, the black dentist, lived in the neighborhood. In fact, his office was probably, in the basement or in a separate room. The doctor was in the neighborhood, the stores that you went to were in the neighborhood and they were black owned. So black money stayed in black neighborhoods primarily. Right. I mean, you may have went downtown every now and then to buy clothes, but Sears, everybody went to Sears back then. Right. But primarily you must say in black neighborhood. So here we are, you mentioned, the dollars as being our power structure now. So what should we be doing as black folk to strengthen black businesses? How can we make sure that our voices are heard so we do get recognized? It bothers me personally. Again, I'm not a businessman, but it bothers me personally when I see young black kids wearing $200 tennis shoes that benefit white corporations. So what can we do? What should we be doing? How should we be making sure that we don't allow them to be in control of us?
One issue that we have for black people and that's going into business, we tend to chase the most sexiest thing out there, right? Like, let me start a clothing line. Or, let me do this, or a hat line or a graphic design or whatever, right? But the shoes that Nike are selling need to get shoelaces, right? They need to get the little buttons on the shoes done. If you start focusing on little things like that and create a company that services another company, then that's where the wealth really comes in at. Just think about your coat hanger in your closet. Somebody's making that. Yeah. A billionaire is making coat hangers, something that you use every day and don't think nothing of it, right? But as black folks, the first thing we want to do is like, I'm gonna get me some money over the club. I go to barbershops and say, man, if I had some money, I would do this, I do that. And none of it is really, it's like quick money, but it's not like generating wealth.
Gotcha.
And then other thing I tell other business owners is black business to business is really where the transactions need to start happening at. You don't see that too often because as a culture, for whatever reason, we're bred to be competitive against one another, even if you're not in the same industry.
Explain black business to business so that the average person that's listening understands where you're coming from on that, and give an example.
Okay. Black business to business is one business is doing a service for another business, and then the other business, pays them for the service. So the example of that would be when I had the bus company, I would go to the church and say, hey, I got buses. Do you need buses to rent out for such X, Y, Z? You say, yeah, sure. We're going to Kings Dominion in July. I'll use you for that. Boom, is a black business to business. Now, what happens is what's happening now is a group leader for the bus service, for the bus company, that's not even works for the bus company, is being a middleman between that. Okay, so they might work for someone in Virginia Beach, Venture Tours, I think it's Venture. So they may go to Venture Tours and say, okay, I can get this bus for $900 or $700. And they come back to you and say, hey, Pastor, I got the bus for $900, right? So now great. So this person takes the money off top. They get like $150 finding fee for the people, and that's it. Where if that was a black company, and then they go to you and get the same thing, but it's not nothing. You're not looking for a hookup,
right?
That's right. Black business to business is where it's at. Hair shops, I tell them every time they go in the salon, they're using hair products from other people. I said, do you know you can go online and develop your own? Tell them what you want in it. Go and find a graphic designer, develop your label, literally upload it. They put it up there, boom, they pump the stuff in there, and you got the bottles in probably a month.
So let me make sure I understand this, just because I know there are a lot of people out there that own their own hair salons, and so you're saying that if I look at, let's say, I don't know, a shampoo,
right,
and I see the chemical makeup of the shampoo, then I can literally go get that same shampoo with my brand name on it.
Yes.
And then I can not only use it in my shop, but I can sell it as well to my customers.
Yes.
Wow, and I'd be willing to bet you very few. Matter of fact, I don't know any that I associate with that shops that sell their own products.
Yeah, the ironic thing, Pastor, is I've told people to do this, and they just will not do it. It's too big of an idea for them to wrap their head around. So they'd rather have another sales rep come into the shop, and then they buy it from them at retail, and then try to mark it up. So that's why some salons, you'll see shampoo bottles like $16. And you're like, why is this so high? It's not really because they're trying to get an extra $2, $3 from it, but they bought it at $11, $12 a bottle. It's still at retail, it's not at wholesale.
So if I'm gonna take that idea to the next level. So you're saying then, let's say, because you talked about us being competitive, and that's so true. We are, we often are described as crabs in a basket, right? So you're saying if all these barber shops, and we know that there's one on almost every other corner. Let's say if 10 of them got together and said, hey, listen, we can still compete as far as who hair we cut, but let's not compete as far as what product we use.
Right.
So let's just get a product name, I don't know, let's just call it, P-Town, whatever, let's say. Let's go, it's P-Town Magic. That then the 10 can come together and they could, combine those resources so that one shop is not putting all the capital up. And then when the supplies come in, all of them get the benefit of the wholesale price. And then they become in control from top to bottom of the entire process.
Right. And what I would tell those 10 barbers is to go file an S corp and then divide the shares up of that corporation by the 10 people equally. So then at the end of the tax year, if you took a loss, which you kind of want to do a little bit so you get a tax break, you take a loss or you take your gains out of it, and you still got to pay tax on it, but you're not paying taxes on it until the end of the year. So that's what I would tell them, and then no one is out back. So you're like, okay, I put my money into it. It's, S corp, and then you got to have your meetings and everything, like, your annual meetings and whatnot. But that's how things should be done. Therefore, then all 10 shops are selling the same product because it benefits everybody,
Right. And so that enables us then, even though this gentleman from Canada was wrong in saying that we have benefited, we haven't, as you pointed out, but this will enable us to begin to benefit, if I understand you.
But here's the thing, Dr. Daniels, we already had that ability.
Right. Now, I'm not saying we didn't have it, but I'm just saying now we can benefit from the things that he's saying that Trump has put in. I'm not saying Trump
So what would happen
our great
now?
benefactor now. I'm not saying that.
So what would happen now is if those 10 barbers did that, automatically off top, 20% of their expenses, or 20% of their profit is automatically not taxable.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is that the idea of getting a corporation has always been there, but now they can benefit from the new tax laws that this gentleman is saying we are currently benefiting from. See, I think the corporate heads are benefiting from the tax break currently, not that $12 employee that's working,
That's correct
on the factory level. Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we as a culture have to start looking at. It bothers me tremendously, and it's something else the gentleman said to me, for example, because we were in Antigua, and he says to me, well, you don't have a right to complain about Trump anyway. You're here on vacation. as if to say, because I could afford to come there,
Right.
I don't have a right to say anything negative. Well, but when he could afford to come to Antigua when Obama was in office, but he had a lot to say negative about Obama.
Right.
See, it's almost as if his point being, we should be so grateful to be able to get what they have. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's really what he was saying, is that as a black man, I should be grateful to be on equal footing with the white man. Now, the irony of that is this. He was bragging about his education because he assumed I had very little. So he says, well, I have my MBA. And, you know, Debbie's really smoking now.
Right.
And so she said, so? He has his PhD.
Right.
You know, which kind of, you know, put him back in, you know,
Right.
in a different place. But even so, his position was, we should be thankful that we can be on equal footing with them, you know. And I go back to your original point, is that a part of that is because we have allowed them to think that we need them more than we do.
Right.
Because black businesses aren't supporting other black businesses. Black businesses are getting their products from white companies.
There you go.
And so the white companies are feeling in control, and we need to be in control. So they are beholding to us if we do come to them. So
Right.
we have some leverage if
Right.
they want to get us back, you know, in that market. You know,
Right.
Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense, but it also takes into education for the black community to understand what needs to happen inside the community. Even when you open your business or you start your business, if you're building a chair,
Mm-hmm.
you know, let's say you work hard. Like for instance, this is a good example. I know a guy who makes barbecue grills.
Mm.
He loves doing it, but where's he getting the metal from?
Mm.
See, he's not getting it from a black business.
Mm.
So I would say, okay, well, we need to find out how we can start a business, a black-owned business that, you know, that is able to get the metal cheaper. Because where they get the metal from, they had to pay a 50% surcharge on that. They can sell it to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's just really just education, Dr. Daniels, and business on how things get marked up. You know, every time
everybody's pulling a little bit off
Right.
the top,
And then
which
and
is increasing price.
Right. But you know what's funny? How many drug dealer movies have you watched that with black folks in it?
Wow. I can't count them.
Right. And then what happens in the movie? The guy always says, I got to get to the actual connect. And then he ends up going to the Colombia or visiting the cartel.
Uh-huh.
But what's crazy is, as a culture, we can wrap our head around that.
Right, absolutely.
But cannot translate it over to this actual business that is legal.
Wow. Yeah. That's a tremendous. That's tremendous when you say that, because I remember when I first became a pastor, and the one of the youth pastors asked the question, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And one of the boys says, "A drug dealer." And what you just said was what he explained.
Right.
Here's a kid about 9 years old, right? That's explaining that if I become a drug dealer, here's what I want to do. And he said what you just said, that he could bypass, these people and get to the top and be the kingpin and put a brand on his drugs. So I know it came from him.
Right.
And I'm thinking, when you were saying, I'm like, wow, the 9-year-old can think about it from the drug standpoint, but the 9-year-old isn't thinking about it from a legal standpoint.
Exactly. Now, and then, the extra woke people right now would say, there's a reason behind that because it's pumped in your head, but this principles are still there. So it's not like the black community does not have the education on it.
Right.
We just got to promote other things. That's one thing I like about.
And we used to do it. That's the thing. And I'm not promoting segregation. I'm not one of those that say, we need to. But I grew up where we used to do it. When I was a kid, everything was done in the black community because the white community did not want to sell to you. And so money stayed in the black community. Have we got too smart for our own self? Is that it?
No, we haven't gotten too smart. What happened is point blank period customer service is what happened. and the quality of the service. And I'll go on record to say, me and soul food restaurants don't get along. And this is the reason why. It ain't got nothing to do with the food. It's the service. I want my food on the plate. Not in styrofoam for me and with a plastic fork and spoon to eat inside the restaurant. Now I understand the business behind that because they can't afford the dishwasher in the back or the dishes and all that stuff, or, the health department writing them up over the sink not being right. I get it. But that's what happened. But if I go into a spot where the person they're not as racist anymore. They smile and greet me, and I get my food on the plate, and it tastes good, and the prices are not that different. But then I go to the black soul food place. It's in the styrofoam. Then I'm paying $15 for two fried pork chops, collard greens, and mac and cheese. Right? That the issue is the quality of the service that I'm getting in the atmosphere. But now remember what we talked about before. White restaurant, they want to upgrade their restaurant. They go down to the bank, say, hey, I need to take out a construction loan for $30,000. Got that. Boom, there it is.
They got it.
Black restaurant owner go in there and say, hey, I want to take out a construction loan for $30,000. Well, I need to see your profit and loss statements and all this. What are you planning on doing with it? And then after you go through all that, deny. So now he's still stuck there with the plastic forks, the styrofoam. That's what happened.
Okay.
Now, to what you're saying though, is the black folks that made it. How come we're not investing back into, to Jim Bob's barbecue shack,
right? That's
selling the ribs and everything. Why are we not taking money and say, hey man, I know you need this. Hey, let me invest in you to get 10% back a year from now. And that I think is what another thing that's missing in that, not us being butting heads and competing all the time. We don't do that.
Right.
We're walking. And then another thing, Dr. Daniels, how many times you went in a restaurant, did not like your food or like your service, and did not speak to the manager about it, just paid your food and said, I'm never coming back.
Several times, unfortunately. Yeah.
And now does you're business owner, because you run the church, how would you know things didn't go right? People in the congregation said, man, the sound was horrible today. I don't want to come back in here no more. I'm done. Such and such, blah, 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 blah. And you have no idea.
Right. And that happens. that happens. People just leave and you just look up and they're not there, but you don't have a clue as to why they left and they're not there. Right. So you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So for me personally, and I try to encourage other business owners to do this, is when you see something wrong in another business, and if you know the owner well enough, send them a text message later on or pull them to the side, never in front of people, and say, hey, I noticed X, Y, and Z. Have you tried doing this? Because this wasn't right. A lot of times they don't know that the situation's like that because they're buried in trying to make sure that the bottom line stays black, or at least pink, you know what I'm saying? So just doing little things like that help, especially black business out a lot. And you'll be amazed what happens. You get this look like, where's this nigga coming from like this? And then you have to be secure, not insecure, but being secure in yourself and realize that not a lot of black people are going to take your critical feedback. They'll take it as hate versus taking it as, okay, this is what I need to do to get better. And that's the part that as a community, we've got to get past. Because if we don't get past it, unfortunately, the brown people will surpass us. And we've already witnessed the Asians coming here. We've already witnessed Indian families coming here, pulling their money together and surpassing us. So we're watching this happen and then literally see them how to do it. It's not a secret. You can walk up to the guy who owns the Days Inn now and ask him how he got their own Days Inn. He's going to tell you. It's not a Russian secret.
Right.
One guy puts in $10,000 to a group of other guys that put in $10,000 to go get the loan. But see, what I say, go get the loan.
And that's the key, right? But, so I guess then I mean, maybe we can't thank Trump yet, but to the guy's point, if enough white folk keep speaking their mind to black folk and showing us how they really feel,
there you go.
Then maybe we can thank Trump and say, thank you for letting us see how all of you really felt about us. And maybe that will be the catalyst to get us to do what other people have done, you know, which is support one another rather than supporting people that only want our money, but don't want us to be a part of the American dream.
Right.
You know, that's an excellent point. You know, I guess the only other thing that I would, I'm curious about, again, because we were a generation apart, and I'm always trying to wrap my head around generations below me, and that is, it seems to me, and I could be wrong, it seems to me that one of the problems we face is that there is a generation that only feels that they have made it if they can acclimate to what I would call the white world. You know, if they can, dress in designer things. I guess the red bottom shoes, is a big deal. Those kind of things. Well, I don't think red bottom shoes are owned by black folk. I think they're owned by white folk.
That's correct.
So again, that sucks money out of our community, and it has people, and I'm gonna say this, and hopefully don't get mad at me, but I grew up. We had a term called nigger rich.
You're right.
Yeah, and so it makes folks look at us as if we are nigger rich. I mean, that's when your outfit makes you look like you're worth $1 million, but when in reality you don't have 2 dimes in the bank.
Right.
What is it about us, do you think? And I think it's more prevalent in the generation behind me, not in my generation. What is it about us that we only feel like we have made it if we do drain our pocketbooks to help white businesses become better? And I'm saying it that way because that's really what we're doing when we spend all of that money on those products that white folks sell that really don't care anything about us.
Some of it is mass media. And then you got to remember too, Dr. Daniels, that they have whole marketing departments with black people in there that are tailoring things to sell to black people. And it makes me upset too to see somebody to see a teenager and the mama's driving a 1999 Nissan Maxima and the teenager got on a $250 pair of tennis shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's say the kid, let's just say the kid went from all F's and went to all A's, and the mama said, or the daddy said, hey, I'm gonna get you these shoes if you get it. And he got it.
Mm-hmm.
But then he wears the shoes just anywhere, walking around in the grass. He doesn't value the $250.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you something. I spoke at Franklin High, and I told the kids, I said, you'll become wealthy when you value $2 the same way you value $2 million.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And he was looking at me like, I said, yeah. So the people that got wealthy by keeping their money and not just throwing it away.
Right.
And the kids still look at me like, because they just want to hear the stories about how much money I'm making, what I'm doing, and just what kind of car I drive. It's like, yeah, I get it. And it's not that difficult to get that, but you got to get it by making sure that you keep your money.
Right. How do you keep it once you get it?
Once you get it. Right. And that's where the big, like, well, how much taxes has Trump paid? What, zero? That's what right, zero. None. So even Warren Buffett has went on record to say he's not paying enough taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, well, I say, well, Warren Buffett, you could just write a check So how about this, Warren Buffett? How about you create a minority business coalition or whatever, and what money you said you thought you should have paid, the difference in that, go ahead and put that in that foundation. Get people in there, and that's what I would tell him to do if you really feel that way.
Right. And for those that may not know who Warren Buffett is, he's one of the richest men, and not only in the United States but in the world. Right. A billionaire.
Right.
And as a billionaire, like you said, you talked about valuing money, right? If you watch watch him and look at the suits that he wear, it is obvious. He's not spending $2,000 and $3,000 on his suits, not the least bit.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. If I grow my business to like $50 million, I am not gonna lie to you, Dr. Dan. I'm gonna wear the $3,000 suit, right? But at that point, the $3,000 suit is now like me wearing a $300 suit now. So it's like it ain't gonna break the bank. But I said it to stress your point, right? Is that even though he's a billionaire, he still values the $2.
He still values the $2, so he still is saying, what? If I don't need it, I'm not going to buy it, and I will buy what I need and not just for the sake of being flamboyant with it,
There was a kid that had just got drafted in the NBA, and I would end up at this event with him. And I pulled him to the side. I said, look, are you happy with your lifestyle right now? He was like, yeah. Okay. And when you sign this, your contract, I want you to take out $20,000 in cash and go blow it on whatever you want to go blow it on. And I want you to take the other money and put it in the bank account and then don't touch it. And wherever you're going to, there's no need to buy a house because you might go somewhere else because it's the NBA. You might get traded. Just get an apartment. And just continue to, all them checks you just put away into this account. It said, because at the end of the day, you're comfortable now, right? I said, yeah. Right. I said, when you come home, you staying with your parents? He's like, yeah. I said, continue to do that. Because you keep doing that. Then when you get done playing ball, then you got this nice chunk of money sitting here that wherever you decide you want to live at, you can go maybe pay the house off in cash.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
And then now you're set up for, then you can put another money to invest in some other things. But do that and stay away from the financial quote unquote investors who's just trying to get the money out of you. And, I ain't see them no more.
Right. And then don't buy that Bentley the first year. Right.
Yeah. It's, the funny thing about that I used to want a Bentley so bad until I ended up with car trouble with a Audi. And when you realize you can't find somebody to work on the car because it's European that know what they're doing, I said, well, I'm not going to touch a Bentley because even though, let's say the payments on the Bentley it is going to sound extreme for some people. If the payments was $1,800, $1,900 a month, right, on the Bentley, but let's say some guy in a Cavalier or a Chevy Cobalt come and sideswipe you and they ain't got insurance. And let's just say it's just a fender bender. The Bentley is handmade. It could cost you $10,000 to fix that.
Right.
Not $1,800. So, and that's even on that's on
a good day.
On a good day.
That's on a good day.
Right. So that's why you got to be careful what you're doing. But I tell people now, look, man, like I'm 40 now. If I known now what I knew like at 25, I would definitely be pumping all my money back into businesses and investing in other people, trying to own like 5% of this business, own like 10% of that business, to where I just sit, like, give me a seat on the board where I can just steer y'all in the right direction because my 10% of my money's in it. Right. And that's where it's at. That business to business connection is where it's at.
And I agree. And I just think that that's one thing that we have to learn from where we are. We cannot be, as Malcolm X say, we cannot be hoodwinked and bamboozled.
Right.
We cannot go around thinking that the numbers that programs like Fox TV, spew out accurately reflect our communities, and I think people that live in the communities know that. But people who don't live in those communities are led to believe that everyone, for some reason, that trickle down theory of economics is working. But just like you said, you can't get a loan easier now than you could before.
Right.
As a matter of fact, it's harder to get a loan, now. And minorities that are at the lower totem pole, those that are middle class and lower middle class and poverty level, they're not feeling better now that Trump's in office. They're feeling worse. And the other thing I think that this person failed to appreciate is that one of the things that drive how you feel is not just the amount of money you have in your pocket. Because white America, just like Black America, all of them don't live above poverty level.
That's right.
But they feel better.
Right.
And they're feeling, and that's what's driving the economy as well, because they feel better, they're spending more money.
Right.
And they're feeling better because they have someone in the White House that they feel supports them and has their views. If I'm a racist and he's a racist, I just feel better. I go spend some more money. I go just to celebrate he's in office. And I think that's the other thing, that for Black America, many of us don't feel better because of who's in office. Mm-hmm. And so that affects the quality of your life as well. And that can be depressing as well. So anyway, I guess the bottom line I would say is that I think that as you pointed out, that we need to start looking at how we're going to be more in control. And not because it's not something we can't do, because we have done it. We've done it. For years we've done it,
right.
And then we arrived and just stopped doing it.
One thing, Dr. Daines, I think this got us caught up is we're like the Israelites complaining too much. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say we're complaining too much is we're focused on the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. If you want to keep focusing on Trump and what he's doing or not doing, you're not focused on what you can do.
Right.
And we're sitting around saying, well, I can't do this because X, Y, and Z. Like, stop creating the excuse mm-hmm. and just going to do it. See, I tell people that Trump is just playing the mass media card. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a degree in mass communications. So, and the first lesson you learn, if it bleeds, it leads. Mm-hmm. So he does stuff crazy just so it can get on the news. Mm-hmm. But you got to look behind the scenes, behind mm-hmm. the closed door, and find out, okay, what's really going on? Mm-hmm. But then does it really affect me? Right. So does it affect my business? Mm-hmm. Does it affect what I'm trying to get accomplished? Right. It's a big deal that the Supreme Court justice is stepping down. Mm-hmm. That's a huge deal. Because it can affect the next 30, 40 years of how laws are done.
Oh, absolutely.
See, but we want to talk about how many Diet Cokes President Trump is drinking. That's the stuff that we, as Black people, we need to get around, and don't get so militant that you shoot past it. Mm-hmm. Understand what's going on. So, okay, how can I look at this? When's this going to go into effect? What laws could change? And let me adjust.
And stay ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm. And let me adjust everything. And this is how we talked about last week. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times with Black-owned businesses and Black people, we spend so much time disliking the game versus getting in there mm-hmm. to play it and then teaching other people, this is what you need to do.
Right. And if you don't like the game, change the rules.
That's right. And there's plenty of Black folks out there that want to run for office, mm-hmm. And then understand that they're going to have to make some compromises, and don't get mad at them for signing on to this bill and then you paying attention to what's going on. Just understand the big picture of everything.
Absolutely. Sounds great to me, I tell you.
So, all right. Sounds like we got a winner with this one. Thank y'all so much for joining us. This is your host, CB Baker. Till next time.